open my eyes on the world, all without hope, without pain. I'm alone in a world full of turmoil and strife, but I'm alive, and I know I'll survive. I will make it.
2024 was a great year for games, and I want to highlight a few. Let's get into them. In its construction, UFO 50 imagines an alternate world where one might come across an obscure collection of games visually represented as cartridges with cobwebs to be dusted off and rediscovered. It is in this act that we bring ourselves, our contemporary thoughts and feelings on play into a space that doesn't just try to recreate the past. Understanding that the past can't be recreated in some one-to-one representation. Instead, it is the past mediated through the developers themselves, their desires to reimagine things, not just to give in to pure homage or facsimile. Our own biases and intuitions are the filters with which we reconstruct the past, and in knowing this, the developers ultimately created something totally new and something we've never seen before. Games that function almost like interpolation, as iteration, or even as firsts on genres like tower defense and idlers. And also games that go past the supposed hardware limitations we'd conceive the era as of having. Riven is easily one of the most gorgeous games I've ever experienced. It's an immersed world of contraptions as both narrative and puzzle to discover, with a palpable texture and a sound design unrelenting. It's a game truly worth losing yourself within. The Myst series is the origin of so much that we love the medium for. A series that fundamentally respects you as the experiential observer. Myst and its sequel Riven allow you to go into the world unaccompanied and piece together the events that led to its fate. The worlds of Myst have their own actors within them, with purpose, with belief, with ideological notions of what worlds are or should be. And it's remarkable that the original game's narrative was so well written that, based on discussions I've had with players of the original, very little, if anything, was changed narratively. There's so much one could talk about with Gen and the Dunny, all the lore of this universe, but I feel like I still have so much to learn myself. I'm hopeful that Cyan continues releasing these, as much as I may feel a tad guilty in wishing for remakes. Stalker 2 is, with all of its flaws, a triumph. It's miraculous that it actually came out, with the war in Ukraine as the backdrop for most of its production. For me, it's maybe the most fun I've had with the game all year long. I didn't know what to expect. I went in blank and was so surprised to see how much of the game is just straight up following through the original games. The zone is wonderfully alive. At any moment, the interplay of the systems had me incredibly tense and alert, even if nothing was happening. Oftentimes, I think there's something haunting me from the sounds I'm hearing. I still don't understand fully some of the things I've experienced either, like soldiers who disappear when I check to loot them, or orbs that appear and explode in the same frame. GSC made an unforgiving shooter campaign in 2024, and while it's nothing new under the sun, it's sort of everything you want if you've been craving this niche. I've yet to finish the game, but already I know I'll be playing this again and again for years to come. Releasing earlier in the year, it's more challenging to recall just what made Dragon's Dogma 2 so special. In a lot of ways, it's expanding on the original ambition of its predecessor. The pawn and NPC systems are developed to an extent where the game feels like a fully realized Dungeons and Dragons campaign. And while the AI maybe wasn't robust enough to warrant the performance issues I had, at its best, Dragon's Dogma 2 feels like an adventure with a party of friends in a world that is truly vibrant and alive. The fact that NPCs travel from town to town and partake in activities means constantly seeing friends and other familiar faces. The game even has a catalog of all the NPCs and their locations if you need it. Things like the absence of fast travel, with an emphasis on camping due to fatigue and the consequences of time passing, make it so that each time you leave a settlement, you're best off with a goal and a plan in mind to execute it. The rich combat with all the varying classes and skills is for me what crowns the experience. And while it's a shame that Tsuno might never come back to this space again, what is here is so unique and will hopefully be recognized for what it is, and the mantle will be picked up by some inspired team, even if it takes another decade. I realized as I began writing about Metaphor that I might come across in my feelings as rather critical for what would be a favorite for the year. It's in part due to how I felt the game could have been so much more. After the initial rather long opening, the major conceit of the game gets revealed that you are in a competition for the crown of the kingdom. And early on, the adventure feels so fun and unique. It felt like in many ways the best parts of one of my favorite TV shows, Tournai Gundam. With its incredibly rich cast of characters, with competing motives and ideologies, each working towards their own ends. The major issue, if I can put it concisely, is that this rich setup is constantly undermined by the very formulaic aspects derived from its lineages as a spin-off of Persona and Shin Megami Tensei in general. The calendar system to me feels vestigial, and I won't spoil the game, but the way the writing falls back towards familiar territory just really disappointed me. The politics, if you can even say this game has a coherent political view, are trivial, and while there are nice sequences and it's largely harmless, it's also not doing anything either. The game is still fantastic. I had a great time with it, of course, but I don't know. The vision of what this game could have been at the start was so compelling, and I guess I'm hung up on it.
命を食い物にするなどもちろん許せん。だが何より許せんのは家族を奪われる痛みを知りながら穴蔵でほうけていた拙者自身だ。
Tactical Breach Wizards was a game I've been waiting for a long time. And while I didn't initially enjoy the demo, I gave it another try after all the praise it was getting, and it is incredible. The story is heart, it's funny, it's well written, and I really like it. Where it shines is the amount of tension given to the gameplay. What really comes across is how well realized everything is with the amount of possible strategies and variations, especially as the levels progress and you unlock the rest of the cast. The fact that the possibility space feels so open without lessening the tactical aspect is to me the most remarkable thing about the game. I think of something like XCOM or Into the Breach with their very focused core loops, with the variants very horizontal. It feels then that the developer spent an unbelievable amount of time polishing every single aspect of the game, and all in all, Breach Wizards ends up being the tactics game of the year. It's wrap up time, and while there's a few more games I'd mention, I don't necessarily have many words for them. Animal Well, Kunitsugami, and Flintlock are the next few games that I'd talk about, but I'd just say, you know, good job, no notes. Great games. Similarly for the major DLCs of Erdtree and Alan Wake 2's Night Springs and The Lake House. Fantastic experiences, but extensions of great games from the past few years. I do want to acknowledge the fantastic overhaul mod that is Fallout London. A massive labor of love from Team Fallen. I spent a lot of hours playing this year. Some other titles worth mentioning are Rise of the Golden Idol, Lauren's Lure, 1000 Cross Resist, Caravan Sandwich, Isles of Sea and Sky, Harold Halibut, and Pacific Drive. And there's still so many more games I need to play from this year. Dread Delusion, Arco, Judero, Skald, Corpus Edax, I Am Your Beast, and Hollow Body are just some of the games I have on my 2024 catch-up list, and I'm sure there will be more. Looking forward to 2025, I hope it's a year of stability for devs in general, in a time where that's seemingly growing more and more impossible. Games are our greatest medium, and I sincerely believe that. I think they can be a much greater tool at communicating culture, life, and the possibility for things to be better. And each year I feel that we are growing closer to that capacity. Thanks for watching and enjoy the new year. Take care.